finally, we have her. We have Joy Taylor, who's going to help us out with life advice. We're going to talk about a few other things. Of course, she comes from Fox, where her show Speak airs daily, 4:30 to 6 Eastern Time. And of course, her podcast with Taylor Rooks, Too Personal Show, which you can check out on YouTube as well. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for your patience, because this has gotten pushed back a couple times.
Thank you for having me, Ryan. I love when we do this very formal bit. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, I still am a radio guy at my core, so I always try to be professional at the beginning, even if I screw up the intros probably too often still for somebody who's done it this long. I was thinking about you the other day as this, the Kyrie rejuvenation project continues. You sent me a text when he demanded a trade, because we used to argue about this. You sent me a text and said, okay, I'm done. I finally see the light. Like, I'm not going to defend Kyrie anymore. And really, I've had a few of these. It happened with Kentucky men's basketball. It happened with Anthony Davis playing the most games he's ever played in a season this year, where I just go, okay, I can't do it. I'm going to give up. And just when you gave up on Kyrie, it's probably been the best run he's had in about 7 or 8 years. So do you want to retract that statement to me here?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't aware we were revealing private text conversations on the show. That's news. So, okay, I need to go back in my archives. Since we're
just sports debates.
Yeah. I retracted, of course. But I retracted so easily because, as you just admitted, I was defending Kyrie forever. I was like, it's not his fault. It's Boston. Nothing is Kyrie's fault. I think Kyrie has gone through a change. I think he's changed. I think we all do that. One of the conundrums of covering sports is we are also covering human beings who sports is a microcosm of society. You are not the same person you were 10 years ago. You are not the same person you were 20 years ago. I'm not the same person I was last year. If everything that we do, even though we are in the public light, is scrutinized and picked apart, and all of our actions day in and day out, it may look like we are the ones who are constantly wrong. There's lots of nuance to situations. And guess what? People change. I think he's changed. I think he's literally changed as a person. And that is reflecting in how he has interacted with Luka this season. I think it's shown in the success that they've had. And yeah, I feel happy for Kyrie. I'm happy that we're talking about his play and not everything else. And that everyone is back on the Kyrie bandwagon, because he's a spectacular player to watch. And when he's in a situation where he can thrive, he's just a fun basketball player. And I know he's had some struggles this series, but overall, I retract. And I'm glad that Kyrie is in the space that he's in now. It's been fun to watch.
Did you pick Dallas, Joy?
I sure did. I picked them in 7.
Does that have anything to do with Boston? You just couldn't root for the Celtics, could you? You couldn't root to be right and root for the Boston Celtics.
Listen, I am a respected sports voice. Okay, so I will not have my integrity questions on my pick.
We'll strike that. We may edit that whole part out then, because I don't want that to be.
But I will say, Jrue made it very hard to pick against Boston, because I love Jrue Holiday.
Yeah, it's the kind of guy where I probably say this, like I say it about Bam. I say it about Jared Allen. There's a longer list, but if you could say all 30 teams could use this kind of player, and then you could plug them in, and Bam's closer to like a foundational piece. And I know Jrue has been that, but with Boston, his role is different. So he's not going to be the second or third option like he was for so many nights with Milwaukee's offense during the playoffs. So it's a bit of the surplus of talent that Boston has, that he has a diminished role that's not really in line with who he's been as a player. So I'm not comparing it like as Bam is this role player. I love Bam, but I think there are certain players where it starts with kind of how they adapt to the surroundings around them, but then also their personality and how malleable they can be of just understanding what's expected of them. I think Jrue is kind of the epitome of that, and it's showing a lot in the finals.
And he's just such a smart basketball player. Like he's just like it's not so much that he is like hitting clutch shots. He just makes the right play. He's just in the right place to make the right play. I'm rooting for Jrue. I would obviously never say that I'm rooting for Boston. I'm not rooting against Boston either. There are a lot of players. I root for your happiness. I think that would make you happy. So as your friend, that would make me happy.
You're rooting for my happiness? I would rather them win than lose, but I think that anybody really knows me, like when it went away was when a team that I cared about so passionately when I was younger, when they lost now, or if they lose now, I just go like, that's okay.
Nothing can hurt
Where
you anymore.
not in sports. I don't think there's a sports hurt that I'm capable of. Now, granted, I'll admit there are takes that I've invested a lot of time in that I would go, well, if that were to happen, the opposite of what I believed, that might hurt from just a professional standpoint. But ultimately, like, none of it ever matters. Like when somebody is doing great that I don't love, or somebody who's doing awful that I put, like when the Suns lost to the Mavs in Game 7 at home, coming off of finals where I felt like a couple bounces here or there in 21, and then 22, I thought the team was even better. And then I had to do the pod with Bill that day. I wasn't thrilled, but it was more about like one little thing. But then as I've aged, as you said, as we all change, depending, it sounds like you've changed abruptly from just 365 days later. I was happy you gave me the 10 and 20 year thing. It sounds like Joy Taylor is on that change train. So I I would say that like whenever there's an outcome that I think I'm emotionally invested in, just based on sharing my opinions nonstop here for 2 decades, that I'll go like, how upset are you really going to be if this goes the other way? Like if this thing happens that you're hoping doesn't, or this thing does that you want, like, are you actually going to care? And then I realized I was like, yeah, I guess I'm not going to really care that much anymore. And I'll be honest, I don't know if it makes me a better person. Maybe it's healthier, but I do miss it. I do miss it a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, being able to feel is something that I'm very jealous of from people. Like when people feel things, I'm like, wow, that's an experience I haven't had in a long time. That's I love that for you. With sports, really the only team, like I want the Steelers and I want the Dolphins to win, but the only team that can truly hurt my feelings is the Heat. And I do hold on to that because it's one of the few things like left in life that can really cause me angst. And
I've noticed that. You're right. Yeah, the heat, that's a good example. That bothers
yeah,
you. Yeah.
it does bother me. Yeah. And I think I still need that, especially in this business, because I'm with you. Like if I'm wrong and Boston wins, I'm going to do exactly what I was planning on doing that day. And that's it. Like I'll put up a tweet about it and then I'll go about my day. But I do think I've held on to the Heat's passion because I've white knuckled to it because this is what we do every day. And I have to be able to relate to the insanity of fans.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good. But I don't know why you got your hopes up with this Heat Celtics series this year. You thought it was going to
Well, I
happen
mean,
again,
yeah,
didn't you?
like
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I have to remain delusional. And that's what I did. So
So it helps you. Okay. So I know that
first of
the
all,
pod
it was brilliant for me last year. Last year I was on the fucking throne. Okay. So
or insufferable debate. It's open for debate.
it depends on what you care about.
Wow. Geez, there was an awkward pause. Okay. So with Taylor, you aren't doing just straight takes here. You were having. I know it's billed as these conversations that we need to have that are brutally honest. What's the most brutally honest thing that you've done? Because we're going to ask for that brutal honesty from you. I actually think guys are going to be more bummed out listening to your advice than my advice when we get to the questions here. But I wanted to make sure we got that in there because I've seen some clips, and it's funny. Like there'll be clips where it's just a couple pals talking about their daily routine, and then like any of the content that's shared, you just lit up for the day. But it's just a good reminder of how insane a lot of dudes can be. I think whenever I see a clip that makes the rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I don't think anything I've said has really been that inflammatory. And I think if you know me, most of what I've said has been rather mild. I don't think I've ever even got into the thick of like how intense of a person I can be. I think I'm easing everybody into it. Honestly, the clips that went the most viral have been the conversation about splitting the bill that happened to my friends.
What was that?
So a friend of mine was going out with this guy. She went out with him twice. They had normal dates. He took her to dinner. They had two normal dates. And then he asked her out again. He wanted to go to this private club that he was not a member of, but she is. So he said, "Oh, like, let's go to this place and we'll hang out." So she takes him there, which is fine. Like, who cares at the moment? They hang out all day. She has to put her card down because she is the member. And when they go to leave, they can't find the server. And he goes, well, your card is down, so we're good. And she doesn't say anything and pays. And then they leave. They have plans for another date. They leave the next day. He texts her and says he's not interested in a long-term thing. He had a good time with her, but like, he doesn't want to lead her on, whatever. They shouldn't go on the next date. So she's like obviously upset about that, but she's also like, yeah, Andy stuck me for this like huge bill. Like he didn't even split it with me, this weekend. And I'm like, send him the split. Like, he's a grown man. Send him his half. Like, okay, cool. Like, thanks. Had a good time with you. By the way, this massive bill that you left me with.
Mr. Rose. Yeah.
Exactly. Mr. Spicy Margarita. So anyway, I told the story and all the guys were on his side. There's this like drizzle thing going on the internets. And I don't know, to me, I've never experienced this in my life. And this is apparently like a new movement. And then I took it a step further, as I always do. And I dubbed them princess boys because clearly they want the princess treatment. And being a woman of substance and means, I can provide that for them. Now, there's things that I want in exchange for taking care of a princess boy. And, if that is what men are interested in behaving like, I feel like I can do that. I can be that person for you. I can give you an experience you've never had. So they were not very happy with me about that one.
I like the movement. I'm not going to partake. Maybe it sounds like that guy just really wanted to go to that club pretty bad.
I mean, it's fucking Nerdville, but
I think I know what it is then. I think I know what it is. All right. Let's get to some emails here. lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. We asked for Joy specific ones and we have a bunch. Okay. So let me try to fire through as many of these as we can. Okay. My girlfriend scares me. Joy, 35 years old, 6'1", 180, 252 marathoner. Whoa, that's pretty fast.
Why do we need that?
I knew you weren't going to like that. We include as much background as we can.
Okay, good. We need background. You're right.
Yeah, we're incredibly efficient here because if a guy types out something like that, then all of a sudden like, okay, he's dedicated. He has major priorities. Maybe he's, who knows? You just take any direction you want to go to. My girlfriend at 8 months is great. Kind, smart, ambitious, started and runs her own business. Very beautiful, like actually a Lululemon model. Hot. But she sometimes reminds me of my suburban upbringing, which terrifies me. I grew up in the suburbs of a major East Coast city, doesn't matter which one because they're literally all the same, which is the point. Mostly through luck. After undergrad, I moved out west, got a good job, had a chance to travel, now take great pride in being unrecognizable to anyone that knew me when I was 18. We live in Brooklyn now. I almost said Brookline. We live in Brooklyn now, share lots of interests like travel, good food, culture, but there are more than a few places where she reminds me of suburbia. Sometimes she buys clothes from Old Navy. She likes trucker hats. She listens to awful music, never watches good, aka my definition of good, aka highbrow, artful TV or movies, opting to watch Gilmore Girls for the 4,000th time. Most of the time, I think I'm being absurd, and each of these things individually is clearly trivial. Other times, when taken together, I envision all of those things being signals of a very basic and traditional future together, which is an idea that makes me want to die. Which inner voice should I listen to? Okay, Joy. There's the first one.
Okay. Well, your girlfriend does sound basic, but so do you. So what are we talking about here? What makes him so edgy? He lives in Brooklyn? Isn't that like the definition of not being edgy? Like you being a suburban kid moving to Brooklyn and now you think you're like hip? All right, look, man. My advice to you is figure out what your priorities are. If you want a woman to terrorize you, which is it sounds like you're interested in, Maybe you take a break from the sweet girl who likes Gilmore Girls and doesn't stress you out, and go try go try and find. You're not going to find me. That's impossible. Go try and find like
Whoa.
go date like an OnlyFans model, and maybe that will make you appreciate your basic, super beautiful, ambitious girlfriend that is going to give you a basic life. I think people think they want more adventure than they actually do.
See, that's some good advice right there.
So
Like if
don't, the grass isn't always greener. If you're feeling like she's going to provide a very simple and boring life for you, then you should go spice it up and see if that's what you're interested in. You might end up with more therapy in that way, though. So
yeah, if she comes home and she's like, "Hey, let's throw on Killing Zoe," are you going to start liking her a little bit more?
well,
Weird
look, I mean,
movie
it
that came
doesn't
out in
sound
the
like
90s.
they're like compatible in the things that they're interested in. So if you are not having a good time with her because she doesn't like to watch the shows you watch or listen to the kind of music you listen to, like, I don't know. I don't know if that's not a reason to not be with somebody, but it sounds like you want a certain type of like image too, because you're trying to escape your suburban past.
I love how that one started. Okay, let's do another one. I think this is going to be even funnier. All right, shot coaching, please, for Joy.
Okay.
We're not talking about basketball, boys. All right, guys. Male man, late 40s. R.I.P. to Jack Haley. Okay. My questions are for Joy. I've recently become single through no fault of my own, and I have met a few contenders lately, yet feel unsure as to what a sign for more versus what's just chit chat. So I'm in need of guidance whether I am getting the go ahead to shoot my shot. Scenarios. All right. So he's got 3 shot potential
Okay.
scenarios here. He names the women,
Let's not do that.
females. Well, I don't know. Most of our listeners are smarter. Let's just change the names. Okay. Debbie, number 1. We went for breakfast and she showed me her new jeans, standing up to show how loose they were, giving me a view of her belly button and below. Okay. Shelby, example number 2. Whilst on a pre-date walk, she offered a bet that the loser had to wash the winner's car. The bet was a too easy Milhouse from Seinfeld bet, which she promptly lost. Okay. Example number 3, let's call her Destiny. Having a casual drink at the bar, she mentioned her new tattoo, lifting up her skirt and showing me the ornate design on her thigh. Even more M's. Are these signs, Joy? Should I be shooting my shot at any or all of these? Thanks in advance.
I love how you changed all their names to like a strip club in Omaha.
What was the first name?
Debbie, Shelby,
Debbie's a very wholesome name.
Deborah, Shelby, and Destiny.
Shelby's debatable. Destiny, you've got me there.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of them are openings.
They feel like
at least. Now, I will say, the way that you wrote these stories and then Ryen read them could go either way.
You weren't impressed. You don't like this guy. You don't think he's cool, is what you're saying. I don't know you're going to think anybody's cool.
No. I think women are very hard to read. I think for a lot of men, flirting, like a simple conversation with a woman that you find attractive, some women or some men translate that as flirting when they're literally just speaking to you and you find them attractive. So I think that these little interactions at least could be misconstrued as flirting. I'm not showing anyone my belly button intentionally. The way this belly button is also just always weird for me. Like, why are you talking about a belly button? But
fair.
I wouldn't do any of these things and be surprised if someone then were to hit on me.
Okay. Yeah. I think the tattoo one is kind of a go.
The tattoo's a go. I think the car wash one is a go.
Yeah.
The belly button one could go either way.
Yeah, I think the jeans one, if she could just be super proud of her jeans, she also may have weighed 50 pounds more then, and she's just constantly like, "Oh my god, my clothes are so loose now."
Yeah,
you know,
I think 2 and 3. I think 2 and 3 are pretty solid goes. But be a gentleman about it. Don't be like, hey, can I see your tattoo again? Or like, when you wash my car, can you do it in like a bikini? Like, don't be weird. But
Yeah.
I think 2 and 3 are like yellow lights. So yeah, I can't tell on one, but 2 and 3 seem like yellow lights. So I would go for it.
I would agree with that one. All right, this one's a little bit more specific. Big fan, couple questions. Played a little baseball in college. Decent looking guy. Have an ex-wife, remarried, 3 kids, 2 from previous marriage, and a newborn with my current. Couldn't be happier. 40 years old, partied a lot, ran a prominent nightclub in Scottsdale for a while. Whoa. All right, this guy had no problem getting remarried if he's running a prominent nightclub in Scottsdale. Had fun, got out of the life, and since started a business, very lucrative, going on 18 years. All right, so this guy, he got
Very
out. He
successful
got
guy,
out.
lots of kids.
Yeah, and he got out early though. I mean, that's a tough. I mean, I think about working in Scottsdale's nightlife. Like after this contract, I've debated it. Have a sister who is a professor. We're not going to name the school. And a brother who was in the military. We've all done well for ourselves. My sister always complains at family gatherings that I was too possessive as a high school and college athlete, and to not say I was a big deal, and to not say I was a big deal. I never got paid to play, but what was it like being an attractive woman growing up? Did you resent your brother? Okay, all right. So this actually gets to a very Joy Taylor tailored question here about your brother. And essentially, did you have reservations about guys asking you out? Was it an obstacle? And I'd also like to know how you handled men like Skip Bayless types or Stephen A's within your field. Oh, wow. So this got really specific. So I think the general point is that he, as an older brother, was too possessive of her, the sister, and wondering with your family success, Joy, if that was
Mhm.
something that you experienced, and maybe he's wondering if he was oblivious to it later on in life.
um, yeah, Jason was definitely very possessive of me. He's 12 years older than me. So he had been in the league for a while before I came of dating age, because he got drafted when I was 10. Um, but it was always from we have a very like interesting family dynamic that we're not like, we're very private people, so we haven't really gotten into it. But let's just say I didn't have a father figure in my life. Like, my parents divorced when I was 16, but I had grew up in a very abusive household. So Jason was very protective of me, but it was always a weird dynamic because he's not my father, he's my brother. But I was always respectful of the environment that he was in. And we just, as a family, just respected how Jason moves about. Like, he's very private. He takes his, relationship with the media very seriously. He took his career very seriously. And I just wasn't about to be causing him public problems. I did my best for as long as I could. 'Cause obviously I am, a character, let's say that. But I tried to keep my behavior away from him. And I think eventually I just wore him down. But I never dated like any of his teammates, or, I didn't have any of that around him. And I didn't ever feel resentful of him for that. He and I went through a lot of different iterations of our relationships, our relationship. And I think because of the way that we grew up in a very chaotic environment, we each had our issues that we hadn't really like resolved within ourselves. We have a great relationship now, and we have I would never say I ever resented him in any way. Like, everything that he did was because he was my brother and he was trying to protect me and he was doing the best that he could. But um, yeah, I mean, I think that was really like the bottom line. Like, I just didn't want to cause him any career issues. So any of my shenanigans were away from him.
Yeah, and obviously it's a little different with the spotlight versus the emailer here. But
Right.
I don't know. I guess
But
that
the
question.
principle's the same. Like, you want to
Yeah,
protect your younger sister. You think you know best because you're a guy and you know how guys are. But like, at the end of the day, we know how guys are too. Like, you're not that stealth with how you guys
no,
move.
nope,
So, it's
nope,
all in
not
love.
stealth. Yeah. Okay, we got a heartbroken guy here.
Hmm.
5'9", 160, just started grinding at the gym again recently.
It's
Pick a
important.
comp as Ben Simmons is that I basically don't play anymore. And when I do, I'm a facilitator who's scared to shoot. I was recently heartbroken by my partner, not sure how to proceed. 23, I met this woman, 27, on a dating app. We initially matched based on physical attraction and weren't really looking for a long-term relationship together. However, pretty quickly developed real feelings for each other. We started seeing each other in February. Things were moving pretty fast. We would text almost every day and see each other every Friday and the rest of the weekends if our schedule permitted. Being that I just graduated college last year and still live with my family for the time being, most of the time we spent together was at her place. Things were going well, or so I thought, until about a month ago. She texted me that we should stop seeing each other. To be completely honest, I'm not really sure what the exact reasoning behind this is. She stated that she needed space, was tired of hosting me every time we would hang out. There were no signs or communication about her feeling this way before. I asked her some more details about why she felt this way, but she refused to elaborate, and I didn't push the questioning as I obviously still care about her. I told her that I respect her decision, and we talked about staying friendly with each other. Never works. I wrote that in. We have not spoken since the split, and I've refrained from looking at her socials despite how hard it's been. I'm not even 100% sure I would get back with her if she wanted to. I would need some more information on what happened for her to want to split in the first place. No matter what I do, I cannot stop thinking about her and I'm potentially what I potentially did to cause this. Basically, I do not know how to move on, even if I should move on. Should I give her space for the time being, but contact her down the road at some point? Wait and see if she ever reaches out to me again. We didn't end on bad terms, and I know she was going through a stressful time professionally, which may have contributed to her decision. I should also note that I brought up the age gap between us, 4 years, and my hesitancy around it, so that might have contributed as well. I'm trying to be as respectful as possible about everything, but knowing she likely won't reach out, even if she did want to talk or even get back together. My current plan was to reach out on her birthday in August and judge how to proceed by her response or lack thereof. Let me know if you think this plan is stupid or if there is another better course of action. I'm sure there are other listeners who are going through similar situations as well. Love the show. Okay, Joy.
You're a very good reader.
No, I wasn't very good in the beginning. I think I was nervous because of you. So I needed to step up.
Yeah. I'm glad you found your way. That
We
was
got
good.
there.
Sounds like this is over, my guy.
You could do this. If you did this instead of me, you would get through 20 of these episodes as opposed to us getting through two. I would agree with you, but continue.
Yeah, it sounds like it's over. I wouldn't overthink bringing up the age gap. I mean, 4 years is not really, I guess in your 20s, it's more significant. In your 30s, it doesn't matter.
Not at
But
all. But for a guy to go 23 to 27 right after college, that's a bit of a mind bender at that time.
yeah,
That
that's what I'm saying.
dynamic
Like in your
is a little
20s,
different.
every year is so different. Like she obviously
Right.
has a place, you don't. You're coming out of like another heartbreak. Wait, so the heartbreak is this one, or he was coming out of a heartbreak, right?
Let's go back. Let's check IT. I mean, obviously, this is the main heartbreak that we're focused on. I think she was coming out of something. Um, she was going through something with work. So, yeah, we're looking. Go ahead, keep going. I'll
So
find it.
the point is, I think that this is done. I think this is done. She probably, if I'm reading into women, was probably like, yeah, you don't have your own place. You're constantly at my place. You're not at the same place in life as me. And that's probably what it's about. And to be honest, like if she is not really being friendly with you, then you're not really going to get a better explanation than that. And you might honestly not want it. Like, do you want to hear her say, like, hey, you need to get your bread up and get your own spot? Like, probably not. And like in your 20s, that kind of age gap does matter because she's clearly doing different stuff than you. So, yeah, I mean, getting closure is something that everybody wants. Like you want to hear the thing that's going to make you feel better about why something ended, but in reality, sometimes you get that and it makes you feel worse. And in the end, like, is it really going to fix anything? Like, she clearly didn't want to continue. She was nice enough to be honest with you about it because some people just ghost, which is annoying. So, yeah, it might suck, but I think it's probably time to focus inward, recalibrate and move on. And you never know, like maybe you see her down the line and things are different, but I wouldn't harbor onto or hold on to like feelings just because you're hoping that she circles back with a better explanation. It's probably just that she wanted to be able to go to your place sometimes and you can't do that. I've been in situations like that where a guy's had his place and I just didn't want to go over there and
Uh-oh.
Listen,
Uh,
I mean,
I
if you don't change your sheets, like that's a quick way to get me to never be at your house again.
There you go. Yeah, guys out there, get those in the mix. You don't learn that until a little bit later in life, but you better learn it as opposed to never learning it.
I mean,
I think
imagine
this.
a naked woman in your bed and your sheets haven't been washed in 2 to 3 months. Insane.
Yeah, tough look. Although guys in their 20s don't understand that. And here's the great thing about clean sheets. As a girlfriend once told me, she was like, "Don't you love when they're new and fresh and everything, and like you get them out of the dryer and then you put them down, and like the first time you get into bed, that first day they're fresh." It's like, you could actually do this more and experience that feeling more often as opposed to this yearly tradition. Again, this is when I was a lot younger. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Joy gags. Yeah, look, when dudes were young, they were like, wait, people clean these regularly? Makes sense. You get old, you start to learn this stuff. I think this one's really simple. I think it's really simple. And I actually feel good for our guy. You were clearly good looking, and she wanted to hook up with you for a while. You said that you matched in an app because of a mutual physical attraction, but your roommates are your parents, okay? And maybe you'll meet her at some point where your roommates aren't your parents. And at this point, I think she just liked hooking up with you. You said the routine was pretty standard, this Friday through the weekend deal. You didn't see each other through the rest of the week. And then once she got over whatever she was dealing with, she was like, okay, maybe I need something a little bit more real. But that tells me that you're that attractive that she was willing to make this deal for 4 months. And it was only 4 months. You met in February. You sent the email in May. So you probably are so good looking that she allowed this dynamic to continue for a little while. So that means you're going to have plenty of opportunities. Like we're telling you already. When maybe she got back together with somebody else or whoever, but I think the fact that you were even in this spot right after college and you live with your parents and a 27-year-old that you were attracted to was like, I'm down for just weekend hookups over and over and over again. Because that's really what it feels like it was for it to end this abruptly on top of everything else. I know you're sad now, but know that you have all this potential. You have, like, if you pulled this off, you're going to pull something else off. So I think that's kind of how she looked at you in this 27 to 23 route that maybe goes against the grain in the male female historical archives. But even though you're bummed out now, you have such a bright future.
I I agree. I agree. It's a solid move, bro. Just don't stress out about it. You're not going to get the closure you want. Just charge it to the game and build on this.
Exactly. I don't really think. Too bad Kyle's not here. Okay, we have one here that's very quick. What's up, guys? Joy, big fan of both. When I heard Joy was joining for life advice, I instantly thought of the mutual friend Colin Cowherd. Who between Ryen or Joy give Colin more street cred, make him more valid between the two of us? Uh-oh. I shouldn't have read this one. Okay. Do we just move on?
Who picked these up for you? They set you up so bad.
That one is brutal. I don't even think we need to answer that one. I think the answer is fairly clear. All right, we got 2 more. My husband's borderline addicted to podcasts, and I fear that is affecting our newborn daughter's development. Scarcely a moment goes by during his waking hours in the home when there's not at least one AirPod in his ear with some podcast or YouTube video playing. This has been an annoyance throughout our relationship, and my frustration has been compounded now the attention he pays to podcasts and YouTube videos distracts him from taking to and interacting with our newborn. Yes, he completes his house chores dutifully, including feeding, changing, and bathing our daughter. But there have to be some guardrails on his listening habits because right now there are none. Can you please help me and all the other wives out there dealing with a similar problem? So we got a one-ear daily chores podcast guy. Joy?
So, but this is from a woman.
Yeah, oh yeah. We have women listeners, female.
Were you unsure what you prefer these days?
No, it's an ongoing joke because I think we said women, and then somebody wrote in that we should say female, or now I forget if when we said female, somebody said you should say.
Yeah, it was female, and someone said you should say women.
Women, right? Yeah. So then we started just saying female women. We're just fighting back a little. That's all.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sis, I gotta tell you, you gotta relax. You gotta chill out.
She's changing, feeding, chores. She's doing all those things. I don't know. Sounds like
Yeah, it sounds
Sounds like
like you
he's
have a
pulling
good
his weight.
husband that has a wholesome hobby. That's what it sounds like. You know what else could be his hobby? Cheating on you. You know what else could be his hobby? Gambling away your mortgage. You know what else could be his hobby? Supporting an OnlyFans model.
Is that an easy hobby to get into?
It's a very efficient app.
Oh, okay.
What else could be his hobby?
Is there an Only Mans?
Yeah.
What if I just got on there and it's like, here's the takes that are too spicy for podcasts? I wonder how I would do if I did it
You'd
with
have
my
to do it
shirt
like
off.
shirtless. Yeah.
Well, I'd have to do it after like chest or shoulders day because I think just walking around shirt off isn't as impressive. We'll try to get there though.
Yeah.
No
I mean,
goal. Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
I understand like people are annoying. We all have things about like our partners that annoy the fuck out of us, but I kind of, you know, I don't really love agreeing with men, but I kind of I'm on bro's side on this. Like he's taking care of your kid, he's present, he's taking care of the house, and all he likes to do is listen to podcasts. Like you need some perspective. There are some really terrible husbands out here, and unless there's something else going on, what kind of podcast is he listening to? Like, I guess that is a follow up question because I guess there are some podcasts that could be breaking his brain, but in general, like he's listening to the Ryen Russillo podcast. It seems like it seems like you're in a good spot. Like you got.
Although we did have
a compromise.
A mom wrote in saying that because there's this phenomenon going around where people are telling me that their kids can't fall asleep unless they put on the podcast, my podcast. So I don't know if this will be a career pivot, but like, could I just read children's books and then I save the sleep patterns of people all over the country? Could we have the stuff translated? Could
Is that
it be
like
a global
a
thing?
really creative way of saying you're boring?
I've yet to be offended. I could imagine there's a few monologues. Look, there's some monologues that I do, Joy, where I go, who's that for?
Did I just introduce that thought to you?
No, trust me. No one is less impressed with me than I am.
Yes, I'm aware. We've been over this.
Right.
It's my least favorite bit that you do. But
yeah, but at the same time, I am fairly confident, which is kind of weird.
Why it's my least favorite bit. And I yell at you all the time about this, as you know.
Yeah, but if we went deep into this, there's no lack of confidence here. I think we would agree there. I just feel like professionally what I've done, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you do this whole self-deprecating bit.
But I don't think it's self-deprecating.
It is.
It's not. It's for me. I don't. I think there's other things that I was capable of doing. So yeah, that's all. It's a professional thing. It's not a personality thing. I don't walk around. Trust me, and I think you know this. I don't walk around being like, "Oh, I'm a fucking loser."
No. I know it's purely professional, and it's rather silly, and I rebuke it every time you do it. So we're doing it again.
Thanks
you're very successful. You've done amazing things in the business. You know, you're great. People listen to your podcast. That's why I'm here.
But so yeah, right. Is it potentially really boring to infants? It probably is.
Probably.
Why would an
maybe there's
infant
something
like
in your
this?
tone that is putting children to sleep. So maybe this woman also needs to just try and have him listen to your podcast and like take the AirPod out, and then maybe the baby will sleep better, and then that's the solve.
Sounds like he's doing a lot of stuff in there. So, but I get it. I think it's just hey, are you potentially not paying attention to stuff you do? It's like, no, I can do this. I'm capable of doing both things. It's like, yeah, but I don't like the way you're doing both things. I think that's where this kind of falls.
Yeah, maybe she feels like he's not like mentally present. So maybe the compromise is maybe like when you guys are spending time together, he doesn't listen to podcasts. But like, again, I don't want to dismiss this lady's experience, but it just seems like you're kind of bitching. To be honest.
Ouch. I wouldn't. Glad you said it. I wasn't going to say it. Being present is currently man's greatest fear because they don't understand it. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm sitting right here. And it's like, no, but you're not present. And no one, this is the new game level that we have to unlock. All right. We have one last one. Okay. All right. Joy, this guy I know has been inviting me out on his boat. The problem is something always seems to come up. I respect how hard he works, but it's leading me to wonder if he even has a boat. I mean, it's not like no boat is a deal breaker, but a girl can't lie. I don't hate that he has one, parentheses, if he does. It's from Marcia.
This is Marsha.
Yeah.
This is a wildly relatable question. This is tough.
Is he lying about the boat potentially?
Where do I go with this? I mean, has he recently shared the boat? Like, have you seen this boat? He could be lying about the boat for sure.
Could be lying.
He could be lying. He could be renting the boat. It could be his
what if it's a
friend's boat.
timeshare? Yeah, right, or something like that.
Yeah, it could be his friend's boat, or like not even timeshare. Like you just rent the boat. So he was like planning on taking you out, and now it's been booked or something. Yeah. I don't really know what to tell you to do, girl. Like, ask him to see like what do you do as a boat? What do you have as a boat owner? You have like a boat license? Like maybe he's got to show you that.
Some guys aren't even licensed. Neanderthals. Yeah, I think you'd have to see a picture with him holding up a newspaper from that day behind the wheel. But even then, he could just be telling his friend.
Go get a spoon, go out to your boat, take a picture on the boat with your spoon so I'd know, because you would never do that unless I asked you to do that.
Right. Yeah, but it still could be a friend's boat. Maybe it would have to be a video of him driving. But again, maybe he's just his friend. Just trusts him behind the wheel because he knows he has good sense of direction.
Yeah, I mean, depending on, it's good that she respects how hard he works. That's nice.
I bet she does. I believe her. I believe the email.
Well, Marsha, it seems you're in a pickle. Let us know.
Sure does.
I want the follow up to this. Find out if he's been lying about this boat.
I can't wait. I hope she sends in an email. I hope we
this is the only one I'm interested to see how it ends.
Fair enough. Thank you for doing this. I don't know if you made anybody feel better, but you made them feel more honest.
I don't think I made anybody feel. I think it was very harsh on your listeners.
Yeah, that was a touch. And if we want more perspective like this, when does the podcast with Taylor come out?
Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. The audio drops before that, but yes, on Wednesdays. It's too personal show. You can email it. You can email us questions too. We take one question a show. toopersonalpodcast@gmail.com. I will say I am much nicer to our listeners than I feel like I was to yours. So maybe I need to ratchet up the intensity on Too Personal. I also want to say, while I have everyone's attention, that MJ Acosta Ruiz and I have a show coming out on Fuse August 21st, Like a Girl, season 2. So it's a episodic series interviewing female athletes, female athletes on Fuse. So we'll have more on that soon.
Based on the concept of that show, that's a great title. And titles aren't always well executed. So I think that'll be really good. Making moves. Thanks as always, Joy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan.